Welcome back to another episode and an edition of the No Comfort Zone.
Welcome.
Attention, please.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome to the No Comfort Zone podcast. It's time to get out of your comfort zone and live on purpose. Broadcasting to the world from Rockford, Illinois. This is your wake-up call.
Warning.
You are the solutions to all your problems. Stop thinking average. Become the hero version of yourself. Every day, every time, without fail, no exceptions. It all matters. You've entered the No Comfort Zone. It's time for a reality check.
So today's podcast is we're going to be talking about the reality check. So here's what it is. Podcast reality check. The awareness of adversity you're ignoring, time to deal with it, and I'll see you on the inside. Hey, welcome back. Thank you so much for that academic intro. So what I did is I'm writing in my notes, my phone, and I get an idea for a podcast, and then I put that down in my win list, what's important now. You know, I should have mentioned that on the last podcast. One of the things that we do in business is we write down a win, what's important now list. I should have put that in there, but I didn't, and there's no way to go back to it because it's already out there. Anyway, what's important now? So I have my win list, and I'm actually, so this gives me the ideas that when I'm inspired by something or I get an opportunity to realize there's a teaching point or even a learning point, I'm going to drop it down in here in my win list, and then I come back to it later and do a podcast on it. Well, I've got a lot of these wrapped up, and in my last podcast, I had mentioned I got about 30 things that I'm behind on, or 33 to-do list. So I'm currently working on it as we speak. I'm working on getting through those. And part of those, there's a few podcasts that I wanted to record or at least talk about. So here we are today. So let me give you the scenario. Okay. There's going to be a lot of things going on here, and we're going to focus on my son. We're going to focus on wrestling, and we're going to focus on some adversity. So in our house, we've identified, my wife and I looked at our lives and where we're at, and we had a chance to reflect. And when the No Comfort Zone became a real thing, it's something that we talk about. We ended up getting to a point where we would say, all right, there's adversity in certain places in our life. What did we learn from it, from the blueprint? And how do we apply those lessons learned into this current situation so that we can have fulfillment in growing through the process and learning through the process? Now, that's all well and good because my wife and I have lived a lot, and we've gone through some adversity, some challenges, most of it self-inflicted. And now my son's coming to age where, you got stuff on social media, you have friends, and you have other influences from outside the family that suggest that, certain adversity is not a good thing. Failure is not a good thing. And we don't look at it that way. It's just not how we're set up. It's not how we're designed in our house. So my son, who is when he was really little, he went through a lot of adversity health-wise. He was 10 weeks premature. We didn't know if he was going to make it. It was a very difficult time because I was just starting a brand new position just in time for him to get born where the health insurance would cover it. I failed massively in business during a bad time during the recession in like 2006. So what had happened was I didn't have a job, have a baby on the way, living at my mom's house. And it was a horrible time. And then some good news happened. I got a job. I had a really good job that I turned down because I was worried about the environment that I would have been in. I was worried about drugs, alcohol, and it was a part of a big dealer group who I had resentment against and didn't necessarily forgive at the time. So I was offered another position with them, and I turned it down. I had the job, massively going to be great for me and my family, but health-wise, it wouldn't have been good for me. So I turned it down to take a much lower, safe, average position in a small dealership, and I took that job. And like 10 days later, my son's born, and he was born premature. He was born 10 weeks early, and it wasn't good. It was he had all kinds of tubes and hoses. His lungs weren't developed. There's a bunch of really bad issues that he had to deal with. So in the morning and at night, before my 12-hour shift, I would go visit him in the hospital for an hour and a half at Northwest Community Hospital in Arlington Heights. Great people over there, great NICU unit. And I got a chance to know the different doctors and go through the different challenges and the heartache that was there because he was just so little. I mean, he could fit in the size you if you have children, you've had some adversity in childbirth, you know what I mean? It's tough. And to see him there and realize I couldn't do anything for him. And I was scared because now I'm trying to figure out my way in work, trying to figure out getting out of my mother's home, and now working at this dealership that's roughly an hour away. And in the meantime, trying to keep this relationship together with Max's mother. Very, very difficult time. Felt like a complete failure. But the one thing I had was faith. I just kept believing that everything would be okay as long as I showed up, and I was there in the morning and I was there in the evening. I felt better about myself, and I actually felt that my son would know, how much I love him, how much I care about him. And that was the first adversity. My son was born into adversity from the moment he was born. And then 10 weeks go by and he's out of the NICU, and I'm doing a little bit better at work. I think I was almost fired at one point for a misunderstanding, which turned out to be adversity, which catapulted me, because when they realized I was doing what I was supposed to be doing when I was supposed to be doing it, I just wasn't putting that information in the correct area, putting notes in certain areas. It looked like I was doing nothing all day and the results were not showing. But about 90 days later, the results started to show, and then things worked out and I advanced my career there, and it was a really good place for me to learn. But I was always stuck in average there. I was stuck at being average. Even though I excelled, it was just average. I remember the job that I passed up. I remember speaking on stage. I remember being in Las Vegas. I remember traveling to Canada. I remember walking into dealerships and people knowing me by name and welcoming me and wanting to be with me and spend time with me to learn from me. And I just loved that. It was a great time in my life. But I'll tell you that going to this, let's just call it what it is, an average job and advancing up to the top line of average, I still wasn't happy. I still wasn't there yet. And now this reality check that I'm talking about, I look for them all the time. It's kind of like I told you before in this podcast. If you close your eyes and you first look around the room and you look, color orange. Do I see any color orange? No, close your eyes. Now you start to think of the color orange, and you really think about it and you meditate on the color orange. And then when you open your eyes, your mind automatically sees everything orange in the room. Even if there was no orange there before, it'll identify it. Well, I figured that personally when it came to average, when it came to reality checks, when it came to adversity, that's how I was going to survive at a better level. And when I realized I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do when it came to adversity and dealing with it and learning from it, I just played it safe. And that was a death sentence for me. And I wanted to kill that person. I wanted to be done with that person completely. So what I ended up doing was, when I found adversity, I decided to risk a little bit more in the adversity. And that's the no comfort zone. Finding adversity, realizing what's going, playing it safe, cowering down, or fighting forward. I decided to fight forward. And no matter what the opportunity was, I just tried to advance myself. Now I'm teaching that to my son, who's 13 years old. He was not the most athletic when he was a small child, and he developed, and now he's a really good golfer. If you've seen some of his social media videos, at 13, his grandfather got him involved in golfing when he was 6. So he's been golfing for like 6 years now, 7 years. He's getting really good at it. And he's getting really good at it. He's not great yet. He's getting good at it. And when it comes to basketball, he excelled there. He excelled at football. He's a good athlete. However, he's not great. He's working on it. So the reason I wanted to talk about this in the podcast, and here we are about 7 minutes into it, is I want you to understand that where he's at with wrestling, bear with me, he wrestled a little bit a long time ago. Well, all the kids have grown up. All the kids are stronger. They've been doing it for a long time. He's new to the understanding of the fundamentals of wrestling. So he lost his first 3 matches, pinned quickly. And then he also lost his next 3. So there's 6 that he lost. And now here we are where he lost 6. And I asked him the question. I said, hey man, listen, what do you think? You have a good self-image of yourself, but what do you think about this wrestling thing? And he goes, well, it's really simple, Dad. I need more mat time. I need more practice on the fundamentals. And I definitely have to eat better, and I have to work out. Like, I have to start taking this seriously at 13. So I said, okay, the guy's, his mind's in the right, he's got the right mindset. Well, he comes back. That was, there's those few that he had lost, those 6 that he lost in a row, all by getting pinned, not by points, but by getting pinned. And he comes back with this good mindset. As we're leaving that tournament, It's like sub 30 degrees outside. It's brutally cold. It was right before Christmas. It was painfully cold. I don't know if you know this or not, but I have extremely bad asthma, especially in cold weather. If you hear me wheezing on this podcast, it's just because my asthma is just crazy bad. So I tell him to bundle up and make sure that we're good to go from when we leave the gym where he was wrestling to go to the car. Now, here's the point. At 13 years old, we start walking through there. And all of a sudden, my son, we're halfway there. We're about a mile away from the car. And it is cold. It is bitterly cold. Your eyeballs are cold. That's how cold it is. I'm not kidding. It's like sub 30 degrees with the windshield. My son says to me, "Man, Dad, that's a reality check." And I'm like, "That's interesting that you said that." We get in the car. We try to warm up. It's just brutally cold. And I said, "What do you mean by that?" And he goes, "Well, from a 13-year-old's point of view about a reality check. I know I'm not doing great in wrestling right now, what the scorecard says, but I know my head's in the right place. But no matter how well I think I'm going to do in wrestling, or no matter where I'm going in my athletic abilities, no matter what, this coldness is so bad. It's so cold outside that it made me a reality check where I start to question everything." It hit him so hard. Now I'm like, "So wait, are you talking about the cold or are you talking about wrestling?" He's like, "Man, Dad, in life, there's reality checks that come that just check you. And they make sure, how bad do you want it? As cold as it was, I questioned, how bad do I want wrestling?" He looked right at me and he said, "Let's go." So, which is really cool because the high school, he's in 8th grade. The high school actually picked him up and said he can train with us a little bit, and he's keeping up and he really enjoys it. And the coach is absolutely amazing. The coach is actually really taking him under his wing, even went to the next tournament. And here's the best part. The next tournament, he lost so that's 6. He lost his 7th. He lost his 8th, all by getting pinned. And I'm thinking, man, this kid, talk about failure, talk about adversity, which we'll talk about in the next podcast. But this is crazy because he's doing so bad. And I'm feeling really sad for him. I'm on the side videoing it and I'm going, "Oh my God, my son is getting decimated by these other wrestlers." And they're good wrestlers. But then all of a sudden, the third match, the other wrestler hits my son's nose by mistake with his head. My son gets upset. You couldn't see him get upset, but he literally did what we call a mat return. I'm new to wrestling, so he does a mat return. He tries to pick the kid up once. Can't do it. Picks him up second time. Can't do it. Third time. Can't do it. Fourth time. Picks him up off his feet. Slams him to the mat. Pins him a second later. I asked him what was the difference. My son said that was his reality check. Boom. There you go. I just thought that was amazing because hard work does pay off and he's working hard. 4-hour wrestling practices. That reality check in the cold kind of got a mindset thing going. Me doing this podcast, talking around the kitchen table, my wife and I dealing with adversity and talking about being average. It's part of our culture and what we do as a family. And I hope you do that too in your business or your organization, that you embrace the adversity and look at it as an opportunity to grow. And that's what the No Comfort Zone tribe community, the message is all about. No comfort zone, a reality check. Give yourself a reality check every now and again and ask yourself this question: how bad do you want it? Whether it's my son who's in the NICU at Arlington Heights for the first 10 weeks of his life, dealing with that adversity, trying to figure out how to breathe and how to figure out whatever he needed to do to survive. And he did. Figuring out how he's not very coordinated as a small child and getting picked on and a little bullied by his older brother and sister, and even me at times teasing him, and to coming a point where he just keeps wanting to do better and better and better. And the person that he's turning into is a person that understands adversity is not a setback. It's an opportunity to grow. And that's what I hope for you, the listener out there in the No Comfort Zone land. Hey, if you like this podcast, if you think it served any benefit whatsoever, do me a favor. Hit me up with a great review. I would love a 5-star rating and a wonderful review. Possibly share it with everybody that you possibly can. I would greatly appreciate it. I am working to help people believe that they're worthy and that they're worthwhile, and that average isn't so bad as long as you look at the adversity and what you can learn from it so that you can move forward, so you can level up a little bit. And also, more importantly, I'm trying to help people find fulfillment in their life through progress. And the way I see progress is actually getting through a no comfort zone, which you can go to thenocomfortzone.com or just hit me up, Dan@thenocomfortzone.com, and we can start a chat then and go from there. Maybe I'll get you a copy of my blueprint. Hope you're doing well out there. I hope you're enjoying 2023. And more importantly, I hope you find a way today to get out of your comfort zone and live on purpose.
Say goodbye.
Want more of the No Comfort Zone? You can follow Dan on Instagram and Twitter at NoComfortZone1.
Bye.
Or on the web at thenocomfortzone.com.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the No Comfort Zone podcast.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.